Hello everyone, Mr. Cross here. I'm just going to take you through this week's work. It's actually for 2 weeks. But before I do that, just want to remind you a little bit about how the lessons in school will be of a benefit of you. First of all, just to say thank you for all the great work that you've been sending in to us, the work that you did on the USA unit to finish off and consolidate, and then more recently on the Living Under Nazi Rule revision. The exam questions that I've been receiving are of a really high quality, so please, if there's any outstanding there, if you could just get them handed in to me as quickly as you can, that'd be absolutely brilliant, and I can give you some feedback. In terms of support, so I've spoken to some people about this already, those people that have been into school, but obviously some people have missed certain lessons, certain pieces of work, certain submissions. Don't panic. We've got some support packs for you. They're on Show My Homework currently, and when you come into school you will receive one as well. We're just expecting you just to chip away at it and just do at least one activity per week, and that should hopefully get you pretty much back on top of things for this summer holiday. The lessons will work similarly to how they have been working online. I think it has been working quite well in terms of giving you the revision materials, some activities to do, and then using Show My Homework quizzes to consolidate upon that, and exam questions just to make sure that we're utilising that knowledge and applying it to questions. Obviously, I'm happy to mark any of those submissions. Those at home, so if you can't make it in for whatever reason, you'll still have the work to complete at home, and you'll still have these YouTube lessons just to support you and go through that. Over the summer, we're also going to be giving you some activities and exam questions to do. These are the ones that are already on Show My Homework, and for every submission that you make, so for every exam question or activity that you do, you'll get a raffle ticket. And first week back after the summer holiday, we'll do a live draw, and one student will be picked out, and you can win a £40 Amazon voucher. So just a bit of an incentive to do some extra work over the summer. So let's get on with this week's lesson then. So this is just a recap activity. So just a reminder that we'll be going through this in the lesson with students. But if you want to, maybe when you get home, have a go at doing this yourself again. Maybe show it to your parents or someone, maybe even a brother or sister, someone that's maybe done a GCSE history before. And the idea of it is you use the images on here to try and talk about how propaganda and terror resulted in Nazi control. So you might talk about, for example, Joseph Goebbels being the head of propaganda. Then you might go on and talk about their policy of anti-Semitism maybe, and them disseminating, I should say, anti-Semitic images on posters, and how they used radio, and you might talk about Himmler. So the idea is that you talk without repetition or pausing. You might even be able to do longer than a minute. So today's lesson is all about how effective were opposition groups towards Nazi rule, and this is focused on 1933 to 39, so pre-Second World War. Okay, and can you think which opposition group this might have been? So maybe have a look for some clues in here. What are they doing? What are they not doing? Maybe what are they wearing? And you might be able to hazard a guess. And they are the Edelweiss Pirates. Wow. So just to note that this lesson, there is a Show My Homework quiz for this lesson and an exam paragraph to write. So once you've gone through it either in lesson in school or at home, finish the activities, do the exam question, revise the lesson, and have a go at the quiz just to make sure that everything is in that brain and consolidated. So a bit of an intro here. and you've got a video clip just here, so just watch the video. I don't think you necessarily need to write anything down, just as a bit of an introduction to remind you. Just a reminder that this covers 33 to 45, which is useful in itself because we do cover that in the course, but this particular lesson is focused on pre-Second World War, so 33 to 39. So things like military opposition and the White Rose, they actually come during the Second World War. Okay, so the main activity that we'll go through in the lesson, so when you come in, is some Top Trumps cards. There's a copy of the Top Trumps template that you can use from Show My Homework, so not the YouTube version, but the actual version, the original version that's sent out. And the idea is you use a knowledge organizer to create some top trumps about who they were, the activities that they did, and how effective you think they were. And you've got a bit of a space there at the top for a picture. So I'm going to model one on the next slide. Sorry, it's not the next slide. So we're on the knowledge organizer just here. So just to make it clear, this is one of them. So Social Democrats is going to be one of your top trumps. Youth groups is another. Communists is another. And the church is another. So you've got 4 top trumps to complete. They're the 4 that you need to know. So this is the template. So you can draw a picture in here. That's the best I can do. This is what my hair is looking like at the moment with a haircut. You will probably go through one in class if you're here. If not, I'm sure you can work out how to do it and you'll fill those in. So then it comes on to the exam practice. We're going to be looking at a 15-mark question, and this one's where you are given 3 sources. One of them is usually an interpretation, and then you get 2 sources, and you have to say how useful you think they are. Once you've had a go at doing it, you can do just at least 1 paragraph, but you can do more and email that to me, and like before, I'll give you some feedback on that. So let's just go through some modelling of how you do that. So first of all, what you'll do is look at the question. So how useful? So when you're thinking about useful, you're trying to be positive, okay? Okay, not your first, that's supposed to be a positive sign, not good, is it? So you've got to be positive with it, okay? Try and think about what is useful rather than go straight to what the limitations are. So you're looking at interpretation A. Interpretation, if you look, is just usually a historian or someone's view, more recent view usually. And then you've got sources B and C, and they're usually from the time or facts and figures. And it's how useful for learning about the Gestapo between 32 and 39. So anything you can learn about the Gestapo in these sources is useful. So all the sources and the interpretation are useful, and they always will be, no matter what question you get. So focus on the positives. You might talk about limitations, but you're much better off focusing on the positive, and you can get full marks without talking about any negatives. So sometimes I say just don't worry about the negatives, just think about what you can learn. So what I would do then is you've got to focus on the sources and your own knowledge, okay? But the main thing is that you use the sources. That is the main thing on this question. Any source question, the main thing is the sources. Your own knowledge is used to help you with the understanding of it. So interpretation A is here. We're going to model how to do this one now. So we've got interpretation A. You would read through it first. I'll do that on the next slide. So we've got interpretation A from the Gestapo by historian Frank Madonna, 2015. Nazi propaganda likes to give the impression that the Gestapo officers were everywhere. Nothing could be further from the truth. You might underline a few bits there. So you might say, as obviously mentions propaganda, so it might be quite useful to do that. Nothing could be further from the truth is quite good as well. So then you think about what is the content. So ask yourself, what can you learn about the Gestapo? And then when you're thinking about context, you're thinking, okay, what's the purpose of this source? Now, I want you to have a go at doing each source like this, but usually some sources lend themselves better to the context than others, and you don't need to talk about the context of all of the sources in an exam. You're really aiming just to do that with one of the sources. So this is what it might look like on your sheet. So I put propaganda was the Nazis' main method of control, as it seems that the Gestapo were not everywhere, and then I've got a quote, and I think it could be further from the truth. And Nazis wanted to give that impression so people feared the Nazis and would do what they wanted. Context, I've put it, although it's probably not that useful. He's a historian, so the purpose is to educate, so it's unlikely to be misleading. I would say that's pretty simplistic, so I won't bother writing that in my exam question. You might find with source B that the context is more important, and you can probably give a bit more of a sophisticated response to the context. If you're struggling with context, don't worry, you can get pretty decent marks just for focusing on the content of the sources. So you're going to have a go at doing a paragraph for either source B or C. This is an example paragraph for interpretation A. Always focus on the positives of what you can learn and try and include similar sentence starters. They're in red, so these bits in red you can use when you're doing your own one. And there's a model example just there. Use that, read that one first, have a look at the other two sources. Doesn't matter which other one you do. If you want to do both, that's absolutely fine as well. Just have a go, even if there's something you don't understand or there's parts of the source you don't understand, just have a go, okay? And then send that in to me where I can mark it and give you some feedback afterwards, okay? So thanks for going through this lesson. Good luck with it. If you've got any questions, please email me and I'm happy to help you, or if you want to email me and I can ring you and talk you through it, that's absolutely fine, okay? All right, enjoy your day.